Hello everyone, welcome back to JD Mods. Today we are going to be doing another video on the K-Sight. If you're new to the series, this is our 2001 Honda Insight, and we are swapping, as you can see already in here, a K20Z1 from a RSX. If you haven't seen our other videos, we've done a few videos prior to this one in the series. Please check out the playlist in our channel description. And also give us a subscribe while you're there. But if you aren't new to this car, you already know what's going on, so let's get started with today's video. So the last video we did on this project car was drop the motor into the engine bay using the innovative mounts. And as you can see, it's in there, all good. And since then, off camera, we did start on a few things. We replaced the red valve cover with a black one that we spray painted ourselves, with a new valve cover gasket, and I wire wheeled up the RBC intake manifold. As you can see, it looks a lot nicer than it used to. We're not going to bother painting everything because it just adds the chance of it flaking or whatever. So we're just going to keep it this finish for now. And in today's video, we're going to be just focusing on more accessories with the motor, such as the throttle body, the intake cable, the fuel rail, the injectors, the serpentine belt, not the wiring harness in today's video, but just a bunch of little stuff like that, and hopefully you guys enjoy the video. First job, I'm going to go ahead and install the fuel rail, just so that we can put the injectors in and not have to worry about anything getting in the injector holes or the cylinder. But I bought these new bolts for installing the fuel rail. They're nice and shiny, but unfortunately I threaded one all the way into the hole, and there's the flange that we're dealing with. As you can see, the bolts are a little too long, so first I have to go ahead and cut down the bolts. So here's just a little tip. If you're going to be cutting down bolts, just get a nut that fits the bolt and then go ahead and thread it on. And this does two things. So I want to take about, say, that much off this bolt. So I'm going to put my nut exactly where I want it. Then I'm going to go ahead and take off the threads. Now that the threads are off, we have this nut on here that you can unthread. Sometimes you have to use a wrench a little bit. And there it is, comes right off. Almost, there it goes. So now you know that your threads are good and it should thread right into the hole. There's the fuel rail completely installed. As you can see, I used some new hardware that I showed you guys. We went with the red accent fuel rail. We might also be doing a red oil fill cap and a dipstick as well. I also mocked up some of the fittings, if you can see them, the 180 on the end, and then just the 6AN adapter down here. And I've got, of course, the 440cc Denso injectors in there. So next up, we are going to move on to the Serpentine Belt. So this is the belt we're using. It is a Continental Elite 4060 537. It is a 6-rib 1,365 millimeter long belt. I believe that is their notation. This is it right here. And this belt is going to be going on our motor, which is a K20Z1 with all of these stock pulleys, except it has an EP3 idler pulley right here and also no AC. So I did my research and apparently this is the belt to use. So let's go ahead and try and install it and see how it fits. So a quick little update. That belt did not work. I went back to the store and got a 505 belt. This one's slightly smaller because the last one was too big, and this one is just too small, so I think I need around a 510 or a 515. But right now I will show you guys another quick update. So I got kind of sick of working on the Serpentine belt and decided to kind of figure out the overall plan with the intake and the front T-bar. So what I decided to do was put the stock PRB intake back on, which will make less power, of course, than the RBC, but it allowed me to run the front T-bar, which means we can use the stock hood latch. It puts the intake in a much nicer position It just fits a lot nicer. And if you guys didn't remember, this car was in a little front end collision, very little, but it did bend since it's aluminum. All of this member right here was bent, so instead of being here, it was around here. So I had to bend all that back, and I really wanted to keep this because this ensures that everything is square. So let me quickly show you guys what I've got over here. So here we have the new PRB intake. And with the stock innovative mounts, it does clear the stock T-bar. I had to massage it a little bit just for bonus clearance, but aside from that, it does clear nicely. Then I tossed on the throttle body really quick, and this is the stock Insight throttle cable that I hooked up. I hooked it up to the cruise control side of the throttle body, but I don't really know why it would matter. And as you can see, it works very nicely. So now I'm going to go ahead and keep working away on the build. Next up, we're going to be installing this header. I don't think we've shown this header yet. This is a K-tuned 4-2-to-1 swap header. This is, as you can see, has a very aggressive angle, which is what you need for the Insight, and obviously Civics, which I believe this one is made for an older Civic. So we're going to go ahead and bolt that on. We also have for that a brand new gasket, and I have some new hardware as well. And then once we have this on, I'll be able to work on stuff like the rear coolant hoses and just keep moving along. There's the header on the car. It looks amazing. So for anyone wondering, the K-tuned header with the innovative mounts clears everything except for the intermediate shaft right there. Used to have a heat shield on it. This guy right over here. Not a heat shield, sorry. Maybe it is. It's just like a protector. Probably so no wire gets wrapped up in your drive shaft. So I'm probably going to do some research and see if it's okay to run like that. You can see the half shaft down there without it on it, but I think that looks pretty sweet. It has the nice gold kind of finish to it. So that's the exhaust setup. So now what we're able to do, not sure how much more I'm going to do in today's video, but I can do now the rear heater lines, which is those two kind of taped over lines to the two lines at the back of the block, here and here. And then you're just going to put your heater valve in between, and there's the heater cable as well. So I might just do that, and that might conclude today's video. Sorry to skip back and forth so much, but I didn't have the right stuff right now for the heater core still to find that valve. So instead what I did was install the radiator. So I decided to position the rad just about here because it's the only spot it would actually fit. The height, I still have to double check that it will clear the hood, but it's a lot taller than the stock rad and a little narrower, but it is thicker, so it should provide adequate cooling. And then I mounted it by drilling 2 holes in the bottom brace down here to put the pegs into. You can see them right there and there. And then at the top, I used the stock aluminum Insight transmission mount. If it can focus, there it goes. And just drilled my own hole up here and used a riv nut to just kind of secure that in place. And then for rad hoses, the RSX, or sorry, EP3, probably same thing. Rad hoses actually worked out pretty good. The one on the top just had to be trimmed at the end here, but as you can see, it goes in nicely, doesn't have any kinks. Then just slips right into the rad over here, right over there. Then the one at the bottom is the bottom EP3 hose, and it does the same thing, works quite well. It has a little bit more of a kink, but I'm hoping if I heat it up I can kind of form it to its new shape. So I just got to put some clamps on those and then run the overflow and then the heater lines at the back, and that is the entire cooling system done, which is quite awesome. But I think I'm going to stop it there for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the little update. In the next video I might be working on the fuel lines probably, and hopefully we can get it started up before we know it. So thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.